What happens here isn't magic. It just feels that way because there is no telling what will occur when people, unsatisfied with the way things are, have the courage to imagine a better way and the freedom to turn what could be into what will. That takes bold thinking, disruptive ideas, and an amazing array of perspectives, people, and intellectual pursuits. But it's hard to capture something that won't stand still. That's Berkeley.
Berkeley.
Built by the people, for the people. Founded and forever inspired by those who had an unstoppable drive to build a new state on the western edge. We embraced the radical idea of a public university and never looked back. Hundreds of thousands of lives changed for people who then go out and change the lives of millions more in our state, our nation, and the world. That's Berkeley. Taking on today's biggest challenges. A revolutionary treatment for malaria? Check. Unlocking the secrets of the universe? Been there. Preserving Mark Twain for prosperity? Done that. We are always one step ahead. And sometimes that step is too big for words alone to describe. We express. We interpret. We reach further. We celebrate. And we are celebrated for our long tradition of untraditional excellence. Driven by a deep desire to do better, to do good. That's Berkeley. Life-shaping, world-changing, future-building.
Berkeley.
Berkeley.
Berkeley. Berkeley.
Berkeley.
Berkeley.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to our presentation this afternoon. I will tell you a little bit more in detail about Berkeley, and in particular, Berkeley Engineering, what we're about, what Berkeley Engineering stands for, what we do with you and for our students, and in particular, what we offer to all of you potential transfer, community college transfer students into UC Berkeley. My name is Marvin Lopez, and I'm Director of Student Programs and Engineering Student Services. And I will take the first part of this presentation, and then my dear friend and colleague, Sharon Mueller, who I think you see on screen for now, will tell you all about how to get here once I tell you all the amazing things that we have for you. So, and then Nicole will moderate and keep an eye on the Q&A to make sure we don't have any burning questions, and we'll spend the hour together that way. So I hope that works for all of you. Okay, so Berkeley Engineering, what do we do and how do we do it? So our mission is really it's a simple three-part mission. First is that we educate leaders. And by that, we mean that we educate engineers who are at the forefront of their profession, who push the profession forward, who aren't just engineers in an office, working on their own kind of day in, day out, but they're actually, pushing the profession forward. So we educate leaders. Number two, we create knowledge. So we provide, and obviously we're the #1 public engineering institution in the world, which means that we create knowledge, and we do that. We are #1, and partly why we're #1 is because we're constantly creating knowledge and pushing the profession of engineering and the knowledge around engineering forward. In fact, I just came back just this afternoon. We had a session that looks just like the picture you saw there of students sharing their research this past summer and this past spring. So our undergraduates, not just graduate students, create knowledge every day. And finally, and this is the reason I think that I like the best, is that engineers, and we teach engineers, and we teach all of you to serve society. And it's something that drives our engineers profoundly and purposely, is to make a difference, to have an impact, and are driven to be here to serve society and make a difference as engineers to society, not just locally and domestically, but globally. Next slide. We're not that large. So the College of Engineering, and in particular undergraduate engineering, is not that large relative to the college, relative to UC Berkeley as a whole. As of now, we have 4,035 undergraduates in 12 majors and 13 minors across 8 departments. And you see the majors here, and I'll point out that aerospace engineering is our newest major within the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and that is available for students to apply into, for transfer students to apply into the fall of 2024. And for freshman students that are eligible to apply this coming fall, along with the other majors you see here, everything from bioengineering to nuclear engineering. So one of the key things and one of the drivers and what makes Berkeley unique is the opportunity to innovate. And innovation drives a lot of what we do and drives a lot of what you're interested in and what our students are interested in. And so to pursue innovation as something that's built into the major and to the college, we have a number of opportunities to explore and learn about innovation. In particular, the Jacobs Design Institute for Design Innovation, which is not just a building, but an entity where we're trying to instill engineering and design and innovation in all that we do as engineers. There's a Target Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology, where you learn and have the opportunity to learn formally and informally about innovation and entrepreneurship, and all the other opportunities you see here to develop that sense of innovation and create the next big solution to the world's big problem. We have 233 faculty, of which, so this got a little bit of engineering by the numbers, of which 82 are endowed chairs and distinguished professors. 75 are members of the National Academy of Engineering, which is sort of the Hall of Fame, as it were, of the profession of engineering. 37 are recipients of Cal's Distinguished Teaching Award, which tells you that our faculty are not just focused on research, but are focused on teaching and really working with you to make sure that that create a thriving and engaging environment in which they teach beyond their research. And 4 are recipients of the Turing Award in computer science, which is being a computer scientist myself from back in my day. It's one that speaks to me the most. And this is, so we have 4 recipients of the Turing Award in computer science, as also known as the Oscars of computer science. Next slide, Nicole. In terms of the demographics and the diversity of our student body, 60% of our undergraduates receive financial aid. And we in the College of Engineering have more Pell Grants students than all the Ivy schools. Actually, no, this is across the entire college campus. 60% of undergraduates at UC Berkeley receive financial aid. And we have more Pell Grant students than all of the Ivy Leagues combined. And 23% of our students come from households of incomes of less than $45,000. Which means that what we really are is an engine for mobility, it's an engine for socioeconomic mobility. So, and it's something that as a campus, as a college, we're very proud of. Next slide. And I know we're thinking of transferring into the college, and so one step at a time. But no doubt you're thinking, okay, what happens next? And as a Berkeley engineering student, you have access to what the 2 fifth-year master's programs, which are terminal masters that are professionally focused. One is the master's, what we call the 5th-year masters, which is an MS degree in the College of Engineering in various departments that are only open to Berkeley engineering students and are available immediately after completing your bachelor's. And then there's what we call the MEng program, the Masters of Engineering, which is again a 1-year professional degree open to anyone. That is also very professional centric and is very highly prized in industry because it combines both top-notch academic knowledge, but also professional preparation. So as I mentioned earlier, I and Sharon and all of us here are part of Engineering Student Services, which is the unit in the College of Engineering, which serves all of you and really serves one purpose, and it's provide our students with the knowledge, the tools, and the support to succeed and thrive, not only at Berkeley, but beyond. And as I always say, and I always like to say that we ensure your success, and we like to think that you can't spell success without ESS, and that is at the heart of what we do. And how do we do that? Let me tell you how we do that. Next slide. We provide academic support, not only academic advising, which Sharon can tell you a little bit about that, and is the team that she manages, but we provide world-class academic advising so that you are at all times on track with your program, on track with your major. And if things change along the way, your academic advising team will work with you to get you on track and make sure you graduate. And through my team, we provide co-curricular support around academics so that to ensure that you have the support outside of the classroom to succeed. So things like tutoring, deep dives, and other initiatives to make sure that you have the academic support to succeed. Next slide. We provide professional development so that you're ready for your first destination past college. We work closely with the Career Center, but also within our own team here to give you the tools and the knowledge to succeed and the cultural capital to navigate the recruiting and really the professional world. So we do things like the etiquette dinner on the seat in the top left, which we'll bring back shortly to teach you how to navigate a banquet setting, for example. We teach you the tools for navigating a career fair, which are currently online, but soon to be in person, that you see on the top right, and everything that it takes in between to achieve the things you came here to achieve as a professional engineer. Next up is leadership development. So we have a number of initiatives to develop you as leaders. So not only individually through the program we call Leader Shape, you see on the top right, where we take students to a 6-day retreat in the Redwoods to teach you and have you think profoundly about what does it mean to be an engineering leader, but also we teach you to operate as engineering leaders within student organizations. And we have 82 of those in the college that serve everything from philanthropy to professional societies to the honor societies and everything in between. And last we have, so you're thinking, wow, this is really cool. But what about me as a transfer student? How do I get prepared to the world of engineering? We have one of the many programs and many initiatives that we provide to support transfer students. One of the Transfer Pre-Engineering program, which is a residential program. Well, it's currently online, but we expect and we hope that in the summer of next 2022, it'll be in person, where for 3 weeks, students come to live on campus and spend part of their day in academic preparation, part of their day in professional and personal development, and part of their day in at the Jacobs Institute, designing a solution or prototyping a solution to a societal problem, which then on the last day of the program, you pitch to industry. So it's an amazing opportunity to get, not only build community, but get a sense of what engineers do before you actually become an engineer. So it's an awesome program that we are very proud of. In addition to that, this is something that Nicole joined us recently, and we just started this fall, is our Transfer Success Ambassadors, which you see 3 of them here, plus Nicole and myself. And this is a team of transfer students who are in their 2nd year, who have become essentially the eyes and ears of not only for ourselves, but of the community into what we do, who can support us and guide us in understanding what needs our transfer students having and how we can best serve them. And so they created things like the pop-up transfer center, which is a casual Monday, Wednesday event where students can come in and build community with other transfer students. And there's more. We have a transfer mentor program. So it's a program where 2nd-year transfer students mentor 1st-year transfer students. We have what we call transfer link classes. So if you didn't get enough through TPREP, weren't able to do TPREP in the summer, you can engage with Nicole and my entire team to dive deeper into your experience as a transfer student, whether it's your 1st year or your 2nd year. We have our Student Pathways to Graduate School, or STEM, to better prepare you for graduate school, because we know that over 30% of you will go on to graduate school. And so we prepare you for that. And what else do we have? And of course, our Transfer to Excellence programs research program, which is one of the signature programs that Nicole runs, which is a program for students to conduct research on campus with Berkeley professors before you actually join Berkeley, and in fact, before you apply to join Berkeley, with the intention of having you join, eventually become a Berkeley student, a Berkeley engineer. So we highly, highly encourage you to apply for next summer. Applications open next month. It's an amazing program. As you can imagine, it's been remote for the last couple of summers, but we hope to have it back in person again in 2022. And another service that we provide is our counseling and psychological services, because we know that Berkeley is a rigorous place, and Berkeley is a challenging place, and sometimes things get a little too challenging and a little too rigorous. And so when they do, we provide you with licensed counselors and psychological service folks who are here with you to make sure that are available for you to work through any challenges you may have, when things aren't going so well, and ideally to work with them before things become particularly challenging. But we're very proud to work with Christine and Denise from the CAPS team. And as I said, 30% of you will go on to graduate school, and there's always, particular transfer cohorts always have great interest in going on to graduate school. So Mel Tamero, our Director of Graduate Outreach, works very closely with all our students, preparing you for the graduate school process, for applying to graduate school, and putting on events and presentations and workshops to guide you to the myriad of opportunities that exist in the graduate space. So research opportunities, and in particular, so you're thinking, wow, there's a lot of this. How do I keep track of any of it? We have an amazing marketing and communications team that keeps our students abreast of all the information that we have, starting with a newsletter. Every Monday afternoon, we send out our famous ESS newsletter that has anything and everything that we in the college and engineering student services offers all of you. So as we say, if it doesn't exist, if it's not in the newsletter, it doesn't exist. So for those of you that want to join us, make sure you stay on top of the newsletter, because everything we offer is through there. Key dates, key programs, key initiatives are there. And then we have a slew of things like podcasts, webinars, presentations, social media presence, to make sure that everything we do is well marketed and that you're all aware of what we have and can take advantage of it throughout the year. Next slide. Okay, so you're thinking, wow, this is great. You mentioned you're number one. So what does that mean? You know, all the things that we have, what does that really mean on the ground? So being at Berkeley, and in particular Berkeley engineering, means what? The following. Go ahead, next slide. First of all, you get to connect. You get to connect with amazing peers. Every single one of the students that are here are the top of the top of where they came from, the top of the top of their high school, the top of the top of the community college, if they came from overseas. So you are the top of the top. Interacting with world famous and world-class faculty. So you get to connect with this amazing community that will collectively and individually drive you to the next stage of your life and your careers. And that's a powerful, amazing experience. So you get to, one, connect. Number two, next slide over, you get to innovate. You get to, yes, learn in the classroom, you get to learn the theory, but you also have amazing opportunities to take that theory and put it to practice through student organizations, through innovation incubators, through the Jacobs Institute, to innovate and think of new, novel ways to solve all kinds of world problems. So number two, you get to innovate. Number three, you get to explore, not just the world, but yourself. You get to discover, why are you an engineer? What difference do you want to make? And whose problems do you want to solve around the world? So you get to explore. And then, what else we have? On the next one. And then of course, it's Berkeley broadly, not just Berkeley engineering, but the college, the campus as a whole has an incredible array of opportunities, like Memorial Stadium, where the Golden Bears play every other weekend. Intramural sports, you get to explore the Bay Area. Cal Adventures, things like Berkeley Ballroom, the RSF, the sports facility where you can learn all kinds of sports and take part in wellness and sports activities. So the student life is critical and a key part that's of the uniqueness of Berkeley. Next slide. There's residential halls and theme housing. So if you desire housing that speaks to you specifically, to your identity, to your intersection of identities, we have that too. So YS is the Women in Science and Engineering, for example. Casa Magdalena Mora is for Chicano Latino theme housing. And then of course we have the traditional dorms like Foothill, Blackwell, and Crossroads, where you can get a delicious, nutritious meal in a cafeteria setting. Decals. Decal is something that's unique to Berkeley. Decal stands for Democratic Education at Cal. And it's basically classes taught by Berkeley students. And these run the gamut from, as you can see here, everything from learning how to play the bells at Campanile to learning about bioprinting. You can learn about Harry Potter. You can learn about different sports. There's almost everything under the sun that you can imagine. You can learn from each other in decals. It's something that I highly encourage you, for those of you that choose to join us down the road, to explore and learn more about. So now you're thinking, wow, this is awesome. How do I get there? As I said, my dear friend and colleague, Sharon Mueller, Director of Advising and Policy and Advising, will tell you all about it. So thank you for your attention, and over to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Marvin. So Marvin mentioned earlier that about advising in engineering student services. So I am the director of the advising portion of engineering student services. And we actually have multiple tiers of advising. So I just wanted to touch on that quickly. Every Berkeley engineering student has an advisor in engineering student services. There are also peer advisors in the college in engineering student services, and some departments have peer advisors as well. The departments also have advisors, and there are also faculty advisors. So there are many levels of advising available to Berkeley engineering students, which is pretty unique. So now I'll go into what are the secrets about admissions. And the truth is, there are no secrets, or at least we try not to have any secrets. We try to be as transparent as possible. We want you to know how to make your application competitive. We often get the question, what's the screening process for my major? What's the GPA for my major? It's actually, in engineering, the screening process is the same regardless of your major. But what's really important is you need to apply to the major you wish to pursue. We do not allow transfer students to change their major in the College of Engineering. So it's really important that you're clear on that and that you know which major you want to pursue. Next slide. Thank you. But we do have some minimal criteria that you must meet. So you must have 60 transferable semester units. So that would make you a junior level transfer. The minimum GPA to apply to Berkeley as a transfer student is 3.0, but in the College of Engineering, it's been 3.5 for several years now. So we actually don't review applications from applicants who have less than a 3.5 overall GPA. Having said that, if you are a student who perhaps struggled in the beginning and you've had an upward trend and you're doing significantly better now, but your overall GPA is still below 3.5, or if you're a student who has really, really strong technical grades, but maybe you had one bad semester and that brought your overall GPA below 3.5, you can email esstransferadmissions@berkeley.edu. And that way we can search for your application and pull it out so that it does get read. We also require applicants to have 100% of the required courses completed. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. That's based on assist.org, so I'll show you that in a minute. And we really encourage you to take as many of the strongly recommended articulated courses as possible. Those would just make you a stronger applicant if they're available at your school. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute as well. Next slide. Thank you. So as I mentioned, you have to complete 100% of the required courses. And these are listed as required courses in Assist. They have to be completed by the end of the spring semester of the year in which you'll transfer. So for instance, if you're applying now, to start at Berkeley in fall 22, you would have to complete those courses by the end of spring 22. We do not count summer 22. So they have to be finished by the end of spring. And it's critical that you check assist.org for your specific major to which you're applying. And next slide. Thank you. So this is a sample from assist.org. This is for EECS. So I'm just highlighting at the top, required courses for admission. So that's what I'm talking about. When I say 100% of those courses, those are the ones in that category that you have to finish. Next slide, please. And I want to point out that at some community colleges, you need to take 2 courses in order to fulfill one Berkeley course. So this example is showing that Physics 7B at this particular community college is actually Physics 4B and 4C. Both courses need to be taken at that community college. They need to be taken at the same community college in order for that requirement to count as fulfilled. However, there is one exception to this. Next slide, please. So we know that many community colleges split our Math 54 course. At Berkeley, differential equations and linear algebra are taught in one course. At a lot of community colleges, those are actually split into 2 courses. That is one exception where you can take differential equations at one school and linear algebra at another school. So that's the only exception to that rule when there are 2 courses that equal one requirement. And next slide, please. And so I wanted to show you the strongly recommended courses. These are not required for admission, but if they are available at your school and they are being offered and you have the opportunity to take them, we do strongly recommend that you take these courses when possible. We also know that, not all courses, not all community colleges have courses for these. And when we're reading your application, we're aware of that also. So don't feel like you'll be at a disadvantage if your community college doesn't offer any of these strongly recommended courses. One hint I might give you is if you were to apply from this school, when I'm reading the application, I might expect, okay, it looks like you weren't able to take engineering 40 or engineering 15. Sometimes the courses are listed on assist, but they actually haven't been offered at the community college for a while. It's actually really helpful if in the application, you can tell us that. So you can say, I really wanted to take engineering 15, but it hasn't been offered for 2 years. And there's an additional information of the application that's kind of a box where you can enter anything additional that you want us to know. And that would be a good place to put something like this. Next slide. Now at this particular school, there are no courses offered that are strongly recommended. If this is the case, however, please make sure you check the top of the assist articulation. Next slide, please. So you can see this is also for civil engineering, like the previous slide was. And it says, if no articulation, students are strongly encouraged to take a course in statics and a course in computer programming. So if you see, oh gosh, none of those strongly recommended courses are offered at my community college, make sure you read the top portion of the assist articulation, because there might be other courses you could take that aren't articulated and won't fulfill anything for the major, but actually will make you a stronger applicant. Thank you. Now, we also pay very close attention to your co-curricular activities. So we want to know what activities and awards or scholarships and programs you've been part of during community college. We don't really want to know what you did in high school. Maybe it was fabulous, that's great. But what we really, really want to know is, what have you done since high school? So we kind of honestly ignore anything that you put down that you did in high school, unless you continued it after high school and you want to speak to how long you've been involved in this project. So please focus on what you've done after high school. It could be maybe you worked full-time for a while, and maybe that's what drove your interest in engineering. And if we see something in these activities or programs, often we're looking in the personal statements to see if you've expanded upon that. So if you list something in your activities that maybe you did research for a summer, maybe you were able to do an REU for a summer, we really hope to read more about that in the personal insight questions. And a good place for that is in the first question that everybody has to answer, which is your opportunity to tell us how you've prepared for your intended major. So we're not necessarily asking you about your academics because we can see that. You've already self-reported to us which classes you took and what your grades were. What we really want to know is what else have you done that really solidified your interest in your particular major? So if we see you've had research or you were lucky enough to have an internship, we're really hoping that you'll expand upon that in the first personal insight question. There are also 7 additional questions. You don't need to answer all 7. You get to pick 3. So try to pick the 3 that you think will reveal to us the most about you. We really want to understand you. We want to kind of know what will you bring to Berkeley and what's unique about you. So those other questions are really your opportunity to kind of pull yourself off the page, to make yourself human to us. So try to pick those wisely when you decide which ones to answer. And most importantly, next slide, is show passion for your major. We really want to make sure that you have applied to a major that you feel really passionate about. Like I mentioned before, in the College of Engineering, you can't change your major. And so we really want to make sure that you're going to be engaged and that you are connected to the major to which you've applied. So make sure that your passion for your major really comes across. Next slide. So I just wanted to share with you a few websites that you might find helpful. The College of Engineering Undergraduate Guide has all sorts of important information in it. We've got policies and procedures, most of which you don't need to worry about until you get here. But what you might find interesting are the course plans that we have in the undergraduate guide for each major. So we have a 4-year plan for freshmen, and then we have a 5-semester plan for transfer students for every major. And we have a 5-semester plan because we give transfer students 5 semesters to complete their degree. You can do it in 4 if you want to. That's totally fine. You could do it in 3 if you want to be super ambitious. I would say most majors reasonably require 5 semesters to complete and kind of keep yourself healthy and not too stressed out. The next one are the degree worksheets. Those show all of the major requirements in a snapshot. So it's not a 4-year plan. They're actually organized more by lower division and upper division and department. So you'll see all the math requirements, all the physics requirements. So that's just sort of a 1-pager snapshot of the requirements for every major in the College of Engineering. And then if you want to explore the department websites, which I highly recommend because every department in engineering is different. They all offer different opportunities to students. You can just go to the engineering.berkeley.edu webpage, and up in the corner, you can choose departments, and those will link you directly to the department websites. And next slide, please. And here are some more resources I just wanted to point you to if you're interested. Earlier, Marvin was talking about our marketing and communications team. One thing that they do really well is a podcast. And most of those podcasts are actually aimed toward admitted students, toward new students. And so we start the podcasts in usually in May or June, and we go throughout the summer. We usually release one podcast per week, and we cover all sorts of topics. Marvin talks about different programs that are being offered to students. I'll talk about all the different levels of advising. I'll talk about some of the important policies. We invite folks from financial aid to come in and talk. We have some students talk to you about what's it like to be a student in Berkeley engineering. We have folks from EOP come and talk, study abroad come and talk. So it's not just us talking to you on these podcasts, it's all of our campus partners as well, who can talk to you about all of the resources and opportunities available to you as a Berkeley engineering student. So you can go to that website. They're all archived there. I think we have 5 seasons now. So feel free to listen to them all if you like. And then I mentioned the Berkeley Engineering website. There's loads of information on that. You can see all the research that's being done on the Berkeley Engineering. Our website, Engineering Student Services, that's where you can read more about all of the programs Marvin talked about and advising. And the Berkeley admissions website, of course, is important. You want to make sure you meet the deadlines for applying and make sure that you're following all the procedures there. And then in the College of Engineering, we also have a more targeted admissions website that goes into more detail about how to make yourself competitive as a Berkeley engineering applicant. And I think that's the end of my spiel, and I'm going to turn it over to Nicole.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I didn't introduce myself. I've been so busy in the chat, but hi everyone. My name is Nicole Mcintyre. I am the manager of transfer success initiatives. So what that means is my whole job is to work with community college students and junior transfer students here in the College of Engineering, and to give you all the information you need to transfer, to be involved in the admissions process, and then to help create and run all the programs Marvin talked about earlier to help you have the best experience possible at Berkeley and leave as successful as possible. So I've answered 30 of the questions so far, and we've got a lot waiting for you, especially for you, Sharon. So if it's all right with you, maybe we'll take about 10 minutes and get through some of them.
Sure.
I'm going to pick and choose the ones that I think are applicable to the most people. And some of them, I'm afraid you'll have to email us later. One question is study abroad an option for engineering students?
It is an option for engineering students. In fact, we encourage it. Of all the UCs, actually, all the engineering colleges of all the UCs, we have the most students who go abroad at Berkeley. We have also articulated a lot of those courses abroad. And so certain programs are more popular with engineering students because they know they can fulfill major requirements if they choose to. However, we also offer an additional semester for students who go abroad. So if a transfer student were to go abroad, they would get to have 6 semesters, one of those being the abroad semester. So we do really encourage it, and students can take whatever they like while they're abroad, and we can work with them if they actually want to continue making technical progress toward their degree.
Awesome, thank you. We've got some questions in the chat that are specific to your plans, like when you should apply to transfer. That's really something we can't speak to, and you need to be meeting with the counselors at your specific community colleges to resolve those. So if your questions are super specific to you, a lot of the times those are best directed to the people at your community college. Sharon, should we put high school activities on the activity list for the transfer application?
No,
Okay.
I wouldn't waste the space because honestly, we're not that interested in it.
What about if I'm only enrolling in community college for 1 year? So I have very limited post-high school extracurricular activities.
If the activities were ongoing, that would be fine to list. But even in that case, we would still really focus on post-high school.
Okay. What about, can I double major as a transfer student in the College of Engineering? So different from other colleges?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay.
Students could do a simultaneous degree, which would mean one major in the College of Engineering and then another major outside of the College of Engineering. That is available to transfer students, but double majoring within the college is not possible.
Okay. Just a reminder for those that got here late, we are not answering questions in the chat. So put it in the Q&A and I will ask the questions that I think will help the most people. All right, so people are asking about the GPA and the 3.5 and whether that's just in the classes that are required to transfer or if that includes all classes. For example, maybe I got like a C in psychology.
That includes all classes. So it's the overall GPA. Unfortunately, that's the only GPA to which we have access.
Awesome, thank you. If we have taken classes at multiple schools, which assist page should we go off of?
You should go off, well, the Berkeley courses will be constant, will be consistent. If you're looking at one major at this school and the same major at another school, you're still going to be fulfilling the same requirements. So you want to look at which classes you're taking at which schools and what they're equivalent to. So the important part about that is to make sure that if it's a series requirement, so sometimes like if it's a quarter school, we'll see that one whole year of general chemistry at Berkeley is one whole year at community college, which is 3 quarters. Mm-hmm. And even if a student only needs Chem 1A and 1AL, which is the first semester of chemistry, if it's listed as the series to series, they have to do the entire series at that same school.
Awesome.
I hope that made sense.
Next, our questions are kind of about weight of application review in regards to how important is GPA versus essay versus extracurricular for admission. You know, those really abstract questions.
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer because we do pride ourselves on holistic review. So I think I would say that if you're, I can certainly say that if you have a 4.0 and you've done nothing else, it's very likely you'll be denied. If you have a 3.5 and you've done a ton of extracurriculars, you'll be in the running. So you can kind of offset one or the other, but don't just focus on your grades. We do want to see tutoring would be great. You know, if we understand it's hard to get research and internships as a community college student, but if you can work in the tutoring center and you can tutor in science and math, that's great. So make sure you have both. I know it'd be great if I could say, well, this is 70% and this is 40%, but it doesn't really work that way. It's the whole package. So yes, we'd love to see great grades in your technical courses, but we also want to see some engagement with co-curricular activities as well.
Awesome. Thank you. We have a lot of questions asking about, you know, can I put something on my application if I did it in high school, if I did it in a different state? It's your application, so y'all can list whatever you want. There are no rules saying this is from high school, we're going to ignore it. But as Sharon said, you all have left high school. You're in the next stage, and there are engineering resources, clubs, classes at your community colleges. So we're definitely going to put a lot more weight on things that are happening in your community college. Sounds like a lot less interest in high school stuff. Sharon, another question for you. Sorry, Marvin, you're getting ignored. Maybe it's just super comprehensive.
I think Marvin's presentation was just totally comprehensive.
Marvin's was all of the good news and Sharon's is all of the bad
Nothing
news.
left unsaid.
I'm the tough one. I'm the mean parent.
Real quick, we've got a question about second bachelor's degrees. We do not admit students who have already completed their bachelor's degree. And so questions for you, Sharon, about, I'm getting overwhelmed by all of these questions. Wow. COVID. We have lived through and are continuing to live through a global health crisis that has affected people's grades. It may have affected grade inflation, possibly based on one of these questions. And there are people with medical withdrawals and family stuff. Could you speak a little bit about how applications are being reviewed in that context? And if students were impacted by the pandemic and the things that have happened as a result of the pandemic, how they should indicate that on their application?
Yeah, so I will say if there are, what in normal times and regular times we would call anomalies on the application. So if there are a whole bunch of W's, if there are some maybe F's or D's that got repeated and then got, were A's or B's, we're always looking for some sort of additional information about that. And so the same goes during this time of a pandemic. We really would like students to explain their records to us. So if they have a semester that does not reflect their potential and their ability, we're really looking for them to explain that in the additional information part of the application. And they'll see that on there. It's just sort of a free form box. They can put anything they want in there. They can put a lot in there. It allows for a lot of text in there. So that's a really good place for students to draw our attention to something that may look like a negative mark on the application. So, and we're certainly expecting to see more of that in this reading cycle that we're going to be doing in the winter. So yes, it's really helpful if students can actually explain and tell us what happened.
Thank you so much. Okay, actually we've got a little while. There are also questions about the recommended courses, right? This is this amorphous thing. Different schools have different offerings. One student has asked, do most people take one or two, or do most people take every recommended course that is available at their community college? And I'll add the caveat to that. Most community colleges offer, in my experience, only 0 to 3. Right. Yeah. There are no community colleges that offer all the recommended classes.
Right. So I would say it's more common to have fewer strongly recommended courses. Having said that, even if there are courses that you're interested in that don't show up anywhere on Assist, please do take them. We still want to make sure that you are fully committed to engineering. So if there are a bunch of courses, maybe programming or engineering, and maybe they don't articulate to anything on Assist, do take them, because we do look at every technical course you've taken, whether or not it actually fulfills a requirement for the major. Because to us, that just shows even more commitment to this particular field. So we want to make sure you know what you're getting into, that you're excited about engineering. And so the more courses you can take in that arena, whether or not they're on Assist, the better.
Great, thank you. What about fall grades? If I'm applying this fall, are you going to see my fall grades when you review my application?
We will, yes. So students are applying November 1st to November 30th. However, there is an update form that transfer students need to fill out after the fall semester. And on that form, they're going to report their fall grades, and they're going to report the courses that they're enrolled in for winter or spring, or planned for spring quarter if they're on the quarter system. If students don't fill out that update form, they are not eligible for admission. So it's really important that you put an email address on your application and that you will continue to use, and make sure that you're checking your email beginning January 1st, because that's when you're going to start getting reminders from the Office of Undergraduate Admissions to go in and update with your fall grades and your spring courses.
Thank you. Back to extracurriculars. This is a great question. Does that only mean formal things, like I'm the president of a club or I did an internship, or can that be more fluid and informal things as well?
Definitely. Yes, definitely. So if you have a personal interest in something, perhaps you created an app, or perhaps you built a robot, anything that it doesn't have to be with a formal program, anything that can express to us how you've come to the decision to apply to your particular major, and anything that you've done. It doesn't have to be formal.
Awesome. Thank you. Where are we at for time? Okay. Are the strongly recommended courses the same as the one you found on assist.org for your major? Absolutely. Yes. What else? If my college doesn't have some of the required courses, Sharon, what should I do?
Oh, yes. Sometimes that does happen. The hope is that you're able to take them elsewhere. We have had a few cases recently where some physics courses have fallen off the list. So there are some community colleges in the Southern California area where there's no articulation actually for physics 7A, 7B, and 7C at Berkeley. In those cases, if there's an older articulation that does list courses, we're going to go by the older articulation because we want students to be able to come to Berkeley and not be hindered by their particular college not offering a required course. I might say that if there's a specific case, perhaps they should email ESS transfer admissions at berkeley.edu, and that way we can look it up and perhaps offer a substitution or some kind of other way that the student could fulfill that requirement.
We have a similar question about assist.org changing and classes disappearing, and whether they should still plan to take those classes, or if specifically recommended courses, if they are no longer an asset to their application.
We are actually looking at the most recent assist when we're reviewing applications. This could be a case I'm thinking of like the mechanical engineering curriculum changed. It actually changed 2 years ago, but for transfer students, we allow a 2-year allowance. But I do believe like for fall 22, there are some courses that got taken off for strongly recommended for mechanical engineering. It doesn't hurt. It never hurts for students to take additional courses if their schedule allows it. Anything in engineering or computer programming is always helpful. But if they have the opportunity to take something that's actually articulated, that's even better because then they can fulfill a requirement at the same time for the major.
Awesome. Thank you. Someone asked about fall grades changing GPA for application selection. So to clarify, we are only looking at your grades and your GPA after your fall grades have been submitted. So if you have a 3.4 when you apply and then your grades come up and over winter break, you've got a 3.6, that is the GPA that we will be looking at. And that's why, to Sharon's point, it's so important that if you apply, you then check your email, because we'll ask you for updates on your grades. And if you ignore that, your application will not be considered.
And I might add, Nicole, that they should email if the fall grades bumped them above 3.5. I'd feel better if they emailed ESS transfer admissions at Berkeley just to make sure we've captured them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We had a question about old grades. You know, if someone was a community college student 15 years ago, will they be considered? And my understanding is they're considered with kind of a grain of salt. A lot of the times we see students enrolled in the past, didn't do as well, went off, lived their life, developed study skills, found their passion, and they'd come back. And if your grades then are bringing you below a 3.5, I think that's a perfect example of a time to, again, use that email address, which I have put in the chat multiple times. So just scroll up in your chat to find it. All right, with that, we are at 5 o'clock. I know there are a lot of questions that haven't been answered. I'd like to encourage you all to use Google and see if your question is answered on the internet already. I will put my email address in the chat and encourage you to check out the upcoming webinars. So as a reminder, sorry, I'm trying to type and do this. As a reminder, this is part of our community college webinar series, which will be lasting through October and the beginning of November. So this is just one option. Next week, we'll have a transfer student panel. So if you have questions about both the application process for those students and about their experience here at Berkeley, someone was asking about dorms, great place to ask. I encourage you to come back next Wednesday afternoon to hear from those current students. You do have to register ahead of time. So if you haven't registered, you can use that engineering.berkeley.edu/cc link to register. And then the week after that, on Thursday, October 21st, we will have a presentation from Professor Sherburne, who will talk about his experience. He is a former transfer student from American River College in Sacramento, who transferred to Berkeley as a reentry student. He had a bit of a career before he transferred and then completed his PhD, and now he's a professor here. So he has really interesting insight. In the past, that session has gone long because students have so many questions for him. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to register for those events now at engineering.berkeley.edu/cc. Sharon, Marvin, any final words?
Just wanted to say thank you for coming to the session. I hope it was helpful, and we hope to see you in the future.
Likewise, thank you for coming. I hope this was useful.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind hour. I hope we got to as many questions as possible, and we will see you all next Wednesday at 6 p.m.